Hello and welcome back to Iran Daily Newsfeed. The Monarchist prisoner Soheila Hijab was violently taken to Sanandaj prison. According to Human Rights News, the jailed lawyer Soheila, who was kept at Qarchak notorious prison, was brutally beaten and taken to Sanandaj prison. Previously, she was violently taken to the notorious Qarchak prison after an appeal court session on Sunday, May 23, 2020. She is now serving her prison terms for alleged charges of propaganda against the Islamic Republic. Transparency International says corruption in the Islamic Republic's defense and security sector is critical. Transparency International Security and Defense Schedule has released a report classifying Iran's defense and security situation as critical in terms of corruption. According to the report, which was published on the Transparency International website on Tuesday, November 16th, says Iran is one of the few countries in the world in terms of security and defense corruption in the past year, which is facing a critical situation. The report examines the state of corruption in the security and defense sectors of 86 countries and ranks scores from worst to best or 0 to 100. Several indicators including political, financial, personnel, operational, and security and defense logistics have been examined separately in this report. In its late report, the Supreme Audit Court of Iran has announced the next debt of the government and state-owned companies will reach more than $142 billion by June 2022. This figure, however, is higher than the total banknotes, coins, and signed deposits in the country. Of course, the figure mentioned is related to the net debt of the government by deducting the claims of the government and state-owned companies from the non-governmental sector. Otherwise, the gross government debt would approximately be doubled. This is the first time that an official institution has announced the debt of the entire government and state-owned companies. Earlier, the central bank announced the debt of the government and state-owned companies to this bank and other banks and said the debt has increased 6.5 times over the past 8 years. The Supreme Audit Court says at the end of next June alone, government's net debt had grown by nearly 72% since the beginning of the current Iranian calendar year. U.S. says Iran-backed hackers launching disruptive cyber attacks on U.S. firms. U.S. has warned hackers sponsored by the Islamic Republic are targeting the key U.S. infrastructure. Tehran regime-sponsored hackers are actively targeting a broad range of victims across multiple U.S. sectors including transportation and healthcare, and in some cases have deployed ransomware against those victims. U.S. federal agencies and their counterparts from the United Kingdom and Australia warned on Wednesday. It's a rare case of the U.S. government publicly linking Iran with ransomware, which is typically used by cyber criminals rather than the governments. And it's a reminder that America's ransomware problem is not limited to Russia. The Tehran-backed hackers are exploiting known flaws in software made by Microsoft and California-based vendor Fortinet to access systems and, at times, locked up with ransomware. According to the adversary from the FBI, U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Australian Cybersecurity Centre, and the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre. These Iranian government-sponsored actors can leverage this access for follow-on operations such as data exfiltration or encryption, ransomware, and extortion, the adversary states. EU to aim for rapid deployment force without U.S. help by 2025, the document says. The European Union is considering a joint military force of up to 5,000 troops by 2025 to intervene in a range of crises and without relying on the United States, according to a draft plan. The EU rapid deployment capacity should be made up of land, sea, and air components that could be swapped in and out of any standing force, depending on the crisis, according to the confidential 28-page document dated November 9th and seen by the Reuters. Facebook says hackers in Pakistan targeted Afghan user amid government collapse. Social media giant Facebook said hackers from Pakistan used the platform to target people in Afghanistan with connections to the previous government during the Taliban's takeover of the country. Facebook says the group, known in the security industry as Signed Copy, shared links to websites hosting malware that could surveil people's devices, reported Reuters news agency. Targets included people connected to the government, military, and law enforcement in Kabul, it said. Facebook told the British news agency that it removed Signed Copy from its platform in August, and also said the group created fictitious personas of young women as romantic lures to build trust and trick targets into clicking phishing links or downloading malicious chat apps. And that was all for today. I'm Kate, and thank you for the privilege of your time.